Welcome to Fabulous Women Over 40, hosted by celebrity stylist Kara Allan. Join Kara as she interviews amazing women, sometimes younger and amazing men as well, in their 40s and beyond. Here's Kara with our Fabulous Woman of the Day.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another inspiring episode of the Fabulous Women Over 40 podcast. I'm your host, Kara Allan, a personal stylist and branding expert with over 22 years of experience in helping women and men create powerful presences through their appearance. This podcast is dedicated to celebrating the incredible women over 40 who are redefining what it means to be fabulous at any age. Today's guest is the radiant and inspiring Laura Banks, the powerhouse behind the Isn't She Powerful podcast, a platform dedicated to helping women step into their greatness with purpose and presence. Laura is a champion of transformation, a guide for those ready to reclaim their voice, and a walking embodiment of what it means to lead with intention. Get ready for a soul-stirring conversation on empowerment, personal evolution, and the truth about what it means to be powerful. Welcome, Laura, to our podcast. How are you today? Thanks for being here.
I'm so glad that I'm here, Kara. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
I'm so excited about our conversation, especially because we just had one not too long ago. So it's good to see you again.
It is.
So can you share a little bit about your journey and what led you to create Isn't She Powerful?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I started my health journey. Isn't She Powerful is a health and wellness brand, but it is also about, building a life that feels really good to live, a life that you feel really that just makes you feel good to wake up to every day. Because I started my health journey because I needed to lose weight. I felt very uncomfortable in my body. It was like a long time coming, right?
Yeah.
Where I had spent a lot of years not taking care of myself, and I knew I wasn't taking care of myself, but I didn't know how to take care of myself. To be honest with you, it was something that I never really understood what it meant to live a healthy lifestyle. And so I ended up going on a journey during COVID. I quit my teaching job a little bit later after that, and really just dug into the lifestyle of living a healthy life. And it's been a very fun journey since then. I started Isn't She Powerful not long after I quit my teaching job, as a way to be able to educate women on how to live a healthy lifestyle. There's only so much educating that you can do on Instagram or TikTok. You just can't go into depth. And I'm a chatter. I really just like to talk. And so I wanted to be able to share more and really educate and really give some mindset shifts. And so podcasting felt like the way to do that for me.
So was there a defining moment in your life when you kind of realized your own power? Was it after you quit the teaching job, or was it something specific like the weight loss that kind of you started channeling your own power?
Yeah, I think when you say that, what comes to mind for me is that I never looked at myself as like being a leader or being somebody that people look to for advice. And then whenever I started my health journey, I was just putting my phone up while I was doing my workouts. I would just put my phone up and record myself doing my squats or whatever it was for that day. And I would post them on my Instagram stories, and the amount of people that started messaging me about it was insane to me. And it was just one of those things that kind of slowly evolved for me, where I realized that people were like looking to see if I was going to post my workout for that day. Like, it just felt like one of those things where, for the first time I was like, wow, I have an influence in a way, like people really do care about what I'm doing and want to see what I have to say. And so I think that was whenever I started to realize, like, wow, that's my power, I think. And now, as a health coach, I help women heal their relationship with food, get over their cravings, find a way to navigate all of that so that they're not completely controlled by the food that they eat or by the thoughts of the food that they want to be eating, but they're trying to stay away from. And so now, as a health coach, teaching about that, I'm like, I'm really good at that. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I'm like, that's one thing I can guarantee. If you come to me and you have a broken relationship with food, you have food cravings, I can heal that for you. And I can pretty much guarantee that. And so it feels really good to be able to say that. I think that, you ask about my power. I think that's my superpower, is helping women heal that part of their life.
Okay. I love that. So what do you believe are the biggest misconceptions about women being powerful or powerful women today? Like, what does that mean to you, and how have you come across any pushback for that? Like, putting yourself out there as a powerful woman, have you had any pushback from
I
people?
definitely get some negative comments on social media sometimes. I haven't had any pushback in terms of the podcast itself, but I
Hmm.
definitely have had people on social media that, you know, especially in the health and wellness space, because I do talk about living a healthy lifestyle and I do talk about, being able to eat what you want and still reach your health goals. And
Hmm.
so I do get comments around that a lot where people say, well, if I looked like you, then I'd eat what I want too. Or if I didn't have to worry about my weight, then I would eat like that too. Not knowing, they just don't know my story and don't know
Mm.
that I spent years struggling with my weight and years beating myself up for what I was eating. And so
Yeah.
I definitely do get some pushback. I don't think it's because I'm a woman. I think it's because I live in a smaller frame. I think I just like I have a smaller body. And so
Yeah.
I think that I'm 5'1", right? Like I'm a little girl. And so,
Hmm.
people just I think there's a lot of animosity that comes with weight and healthy living
Sure.
for sure.
Well, I'm a petite as well, so I'm just a little shorter than you, about 4'11". So it's, it's harder, if anything, for us because we don't have much vertical space to put the weight over. So if you're,
That's right.
5'5" and above, you have a little bit more canvas. It may sit on you in different places than it will sit. I mean, it's going to sit different on everybody per se.
Hmm.
Everybody's body is unique, and where you carry or store your extra weight is going to be unique to you. But at the same time, it's like, you know, we really have a harder struggle, honestly, because 5 pounds, 10 pounds on us is like two or three dress sizes. And then what do we do with that? Like, we just have
Yeah.
to live in it. And people don't really think about that either. They're just thinking about their own issues, not
Yeah.
what you had to deal with too. So
Yeah.
we'll take it personal.
And I don't, there's a lot of hurt that's coming from those comments. Like
Yeah, for
these
sure.
people are just hurting in their own life and in their own struggles. And I know that, in the beginning it did hurt my feelings, but
Yeah.
now since I've worked with so many women, I'm able to just like say, oh, that's a hurting person and
Yeah.
offer some help to that person rather than taking it personally. It's not about me.
Yeah.
And I know that.
Right. Yeah. So how do you help women reclaim their voice and their own power, especially after they've had a setback, maybe health wise or in their personal life, challenges with marriages, relationships, children, things like that? How do you help them reclaim their voice?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that it comes with a lot of intention. It comes with making goals that you can actually stick to. A lot of the women that I help, they really struggle to create goals that they can actually achieve. And so then they
Hmm.
end up not being able to achieve them. And then that just makes them feel down on themselves even more, right? Like they go from never working out to saying, I'm going to work out 5 times this week and it's going to be an hour each time. And they're not able to do that. And so then that ends up creating a lot of the fear of failure becomes even stronger for them, right? Like
Hmm.
I of course I didn't do this. I knew I wouldn't be able to do it. It's just like that fear of failure becomes even stronger. And so
Hmm.
I help women see that it doesn't have to look a certain way. You don't have to be perfect. It can ebb and flow with your life. Everybody's life is going to look different. I have
Hmm.
two women that are in my membership right now. And one of them, her goal was like 70 ounces of water per week. And one of them, her goal was like 32 ounces of water per week.
Hmm.
Both of those goals are challenging for those two people.
Right.
Now, those goals are far from being the same, but that doesn't mean that those goals aren't challenging for those people. And so we have to realize that my story is not going to look like her story. My journey is not going to look the same every single day. Some days I'm going to get in 4 servings of vegetables. Some days I'm going to get in 1 serving of vegetable, and that has
Hmm.
to be okay. So to help
Yeah.
women get over that all or nothing mindset and learn to set goals that they can actually stick to, and that helps them just start to feel so much more confident in their actions and in their choices around food.
Right. And you mentioned mindset. So what role does mindset play in your work, and how can women shift into a more empowered mindset, even say they fall off the wagon a little bit and not beating themselves up too bad, or just saying, forget it, I messed up this week. I messed it up forever. Like, how do you get people back on the horse after they've had a little bit of a setback?
Yeah, I think that that's like ultimately what I help women with is that mindset. I like to say that my group coaching program has the three things that are the most important for any health transformation. Education. So I'm teaching
Mm-hmm.
you everything that you need to know to live a healthy lifestyle, like the basics. Like I'm not talking about like every little detail, right? I'm talking about the basics, which is what a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people, they think they know the basics because they've got them from TikTok or some other social media or from years ago on Google, whatever, right? Like we think we know the basics, but I'm teaching you what's actually important, and that mindset piece of it, which I'll talk about more. And then the community, because people to support you and help you through the journey, that's also so important. But the mindset, it doesn't matter. Like I can sit here and tell you all day long what you need to be doing, but if you have a negative mindset about it, if you have an all or nothing mindset, have an unhealthy relationship with food, don't believe in yourself to be able to do it, you're
Yeah.
never going to be able to do it, right? Like the mindset is at the key to it all. The mindset's at the front of it all.
Yeah, and the other thing too is being in a space of fitness and weight loss and all of those things. It's such a huge industry, and of course, people are hearing all kinds of stuff from everywhere, from TikTok, from Instagram, from wherever, and from people who claim to be experts about all of that stuff. So how do you come when you're educating people, or I won't say educating, when you're teaching people, I guess, about how to eat better and this, and do you get people saying like, well, I heard you should do this, and I heard you should, and then how do you handle that? Because it's like, you know.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that a lot. And I think that it's valid because people
Hmm.
are confused, you
Yeah.
know? Like I was like that for forever of listening to this person and that person following this diet and that diet. This diet says that you shouldn't eat breakfast, you should fast. This diet says that you shouldn't have carbs. So should I combine those two? You know, like it's so confusing.
Yeah.
There's so
A
many
lot.
different diets out there. And again, people aren't attacking me when they make those type of comments. They're just simply confused, you know,
Yeah.
like it's just their own hurt, their own pain, their own struggles. And so I like to combat it a lot of times with science. I'm like, hey, you know, this is the truth behind it. This is the science. You know, if
Right.
you're telling me that you have these cravings later in the day, I'm going to look at your blood sugar levels. I'm going to look at the protein and fiber that you're eating. I'm going to look
Hmm.
at when you're eating. I'm going to look at how much you're eating. I'm going to look at like the actual science behind it, the habits, what you're doing, when you're doing it. There's
Hmm.
no denying that, right? Like
Yeah.
there's all these different diets. Well, there's no denying the facts and the science and what you're doing is leading to this. So I like to combat it from that angle.
Yeah, that makes sense because ultimately, I don't know. There's so much out there, and you could be confused for days if you try to follow everything that everybody says. It's kind of nuts.
Truly.
So, how do you stay grounded while inspiring and holding space for other women?
I think that's actually one of the hardest things for me, if I'm just being honest and vulnerable, is making time for myself
Mm,
because I really struggle with like getting outside enough and
hmm.
making time for my own exercise and
Right.
making sure that I'm stopping and eating lunch in the middle of the day. Like those are things that I'm starting to prioritize now. I left my teaching job in 2023. And so I've had coming up on 2 years now of getting used to being my own boss and working for myself and working at home.
Yeah.
And before, I used to have to squeeze all of my work time into the hours after work or on the weekends. And now that I have the whole day, for a while I've used the whole day. Like even though because I was used to working at night, so I kept working at night. I was used to working on the weekends, so I kept working on the weekends.
Hmm.
And I'm just now getting to the point where I'm like, I can take time to exercise. I can take the time to stop and eat lunch. Like I'm just now getting to the point where I allow myself to do that. And I think that again, it comes back to making those realistic goals, setting
Hmm.
expectations for myself that I know that are realistic and I can actually achieve them.
Right.
And then being gentle with myself and not beating myself up because of one day I didn't pause to eat lunch. You know, if that
Right.
didn't happen one day, then say, you know what, tomorrow's another day and I'll try again tomorrow. I don't wait until next week. I don't say, because that's that all or nothing mindset I was talking about that so many people struggle with
Yeah.
is they're like, you know, well, I ate a cookie at 3 o'clock on Thursday. I'll start over on Monday. I help women get out of that
Yeah.
cycle, out of that mindset and say, you know, it doesn't have to be that way. You're wasting so much time. The second half of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those are days that you could be using to get yourself closer to your goal and you're wasting a
Hmm.
lot of time by not doing it. And
Yeah.
so I approach myself with that same mindset. I use a lot of what I teach to coach myself too.
That's true. And a lot of that I think people don't realize is a bit of self-sabotage, right? Because we're trying to, your ego, your subconscious is trying to keep you safe. So it's like, yeah, we'll wait till Monday. We don't have to start over. We could start over right now. We don't have to
Mhm.
wait till Monday or even tomorrow. It's like, I think even ourselves we're used to being comfortable, and taking something away that we're used to doing is uncomfortable. But that's what you have to do in instances, especially when you're trying to, get on a program and get that consistency going, is saying no. I mean, not forever, just for today, just for this moment, because usually once the moment passes, then you're better at getting used to saying no. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And you don't, like, I don't know, what do you binge or like to say no to yourself so much that when you do get it, you're like,
Yes.
because that's not helpful either.
No, yeah, you're right. The binge restrict cycle. Like so many of us get caught up in that cycle of, like you just said, I was like this for so
Hmm.
long. That's why I teach what I teach now, because it was such a huge part of my own health journey. Was I would
Right,
wake up every morning, I would tell myself, Laura, today you're going to be good. You're not going to eat any of that sugar. You're not even going to think about it. And I was teaching at the time, all those donuts that are in the break room, all of that candy that you're supposed to be giving to the students, you're not going to even think about it today. And
right.
then by 3 p.m., I would be binge eating it in my classroom, hiding the wrappers in the trash can, lights off, blinds closed. I'm not there. Nobody come in and see me eating so much. And I would eat to
Yeah.
the point of literally getting sick. And this
Yeah.
was happening 3 to 4, sometimes 5 days a week. And so it was like
Yeah.
a really, really hard place to be. And I had to like learn how to get myself out of that. And like I said,
Hmm.
that came from a lot of like the science, and that's what I teach a lot now, is like, why is this happening to you? What is the
Hmm.
actual cause of all of this, and how can we shift some of our habits, shift the way that we're talking to ourselves so that we don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah, and not turning into the Cookie Monster,
Yes.
literally, because you take one, you can take the whole bag if you're not
Hmm.
careful. So, what's something you had recently had to unlearn about power or leadership? Like, you know, it's a lot to be able to influence people, and that does come with some responsibility. Like, how have you learned to deal with that kind of power or leadership or responsibility, however you want to call it?
I think that for me, I think what like very recently having learned is that none of this is about me. Like,
Hmm.
people don't listen to the podcast for me. People aren't watching my social media because of me. They are showing up for them, and I
Hmm.
need to show up for them.
Right.
Like, I think a lot of times, like, as content creators, as coaches, as podcast hosts, we post content to get the likes and to get it's an ego boost for us, right?
Sure.
And I've had
Can
to
be.
learn, like, this isn't about me. I'm here to serve. I'm here to give. I'm here, even if this post changes two people's lives were changed because of
Hmm.
something I said. That's huge and that's amazing, and it's not something to take for granted. And I think for a little while I was taking that for granted, where I was like, oh, like, I only two people, like, it should be so much more than that. But
Right.
only two, that's really sad to say, because that's two very important human lives that were changed because of something I said. So I
Hmm.
think I'm just like learning to take my own personal ego out of it and know that none of this is about me. I'm here on this planet to serve people in this way.
And what just occurred to me when you were saying that is that I believe, for me, God is everything. And I think we spoke about that before for you as well. And so when you think about it, it's like God gives you two people. How good are you going to do with these two people? Then I'm going to give
Mm.
you six people, and then I'm going to give you 10 people. Because you do have a responsibility when you're, in that position of leadership, to affect people in a way that's about them, not about us. You know what I'm saying? So that's, very interesting. He gives us a
Yeah.
little at a time, I think, no more than we can handle, even though we think we can do more, and
Yes.
we want it. It's like, yes, why do I need it now? But it's like, no, slow down, cowgirl. Just wait a second. It's coming the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I was telling you about my group coaching programs and how many people have been in them, each of the rounds. And my first one, I was like, I have this huge goal. And I had this goal of how many people I wanted to be in it. And the coach that I was working with at the time, she was like, if that doesn't happen, then it's then God is the reason why that didn't happen for you.
Mhm.
And he's just helping you get ready to be able to hold that many people. He's not saying that it will never happen for you. He's just saying not yet, because you need to be
Mhm.
ready for it. And to take that back to health, like I work with so many women who are like, I want to lose the weight now, and they want to wake up tomorrow and they want to be at their goal weight. And I tell
Right.
them, if you woke up tomorrow and you were at your goal weight, you wouldn't have the habits to be able to, you wouldn't know how to maintain it. You
Yeah.
would gain all the weight back because you wouldn't have the habits, you wouldn't have the knowledge, you wouldn't have the
Yeah.
mindset. And so that's kind of the mindset that I look at that piece of it too, just to take it back to health, because I take everything back to health. It takes time and it takes intention, and that's a good thing. You want it to take time.
Yeah, for sure. So how does personal style, in your opinion, tie into a woman's power and presence?
Oh my gosh. When I started dressing in clothes that actually made me feel good in my body, it changed everything for me. Like
Mhm.
I used to put on clothes that were so baggy because I just wanted to hide, or I would put on
Mm.
clothes that were way too small because I wanted to show how, once I had lost my weight, I was like, I want to show off how much weight I've lost. And I would put on
Mhm.
clothes that were way too small and didn't make me feel comfortable. So when I was wearing the baggy clothes, didn't feel comfortable. When I was wearing the smaller clothes, didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Now I found my own personal style. Like what I have, like a, my formula is that I have my shoes that go with my belts and all the things that complement each other, and I feel really good and really confident in. And that makes me, when I walk into a room, I show up so much more confidently. I show up as myself. I'm not sitting there picking myself apart. I'm able to actually focus on having conversations with
Mhm.
people, so like 100%, I think that the clothes that we wear and the way that we dress impacts our ability to get healthy, to stay healthy. Because if you're, always wearing baggy clothes, you don't care. You're not telling yourself you care enough to go to the gym, to eat the vegetables. But if you're
Mhm.
wearing clothes that you feel really good in, you want to make yourself feel really good. And so you're going to
Mhm.
make these choices that feel really good. So I think that clothes and having a personal style 100% makes all the difference.
Yeah, I think we talked about that on your podcast, just that, women, we have to dress. We can't hide. I mean, we try to behind the baggy clothes or, the yoga pants or whatever, especially during COVID. Like some people, men were making jokes that their women were wearing yoga pants so much that they would take them off and they would stand up when they left them, like
That's
cringe
hilarious.
because it's like that was the comfort zone. And it's like, but,
Mhm.
we need to grow all the time and getting out of that comfort zone is part of it. So it's like, you got to show up. And so in the meantime, when you're losing weight and you're getting in shape and you're feeling better about yourself, you'll be surprised at how when you put something on that looks good wherever you are right now, changes your outlook on yourself and how you feel and how you show up. So it's necessary to wear clothes that look good, fit you well, and make you feel confident.
Yeah,
Just saying.
exactly. Make you feel confident. I think that's the key to it all. Your clothes don't have to look like my clothes, don't have to look like your neighbor's clothes. It
Exactly.
doesn't matter. Like you said, personal style is so important. Find what you feel good in and wear that. Like you said, no matter the size of your body right now,
Mhm.
because I promise you that if you wear clothes that you feel good in at the size you're at right now, it's going to help you get to the size you want to be at. And you're going to feel a lot better when you get there
Yeah.
than if you wait until you get there to start acting like you care about yourself.
You're right. And it's not like you have to buy a whole full wardrobe. I mean, one of the things that I always recommend women do is buy dresses, especially like a wrap dress or something that's a little bit more flexible, because dresses can be a little more easily altered than, say, pants. And so just buy a few great dresses that make you feel great. And then
Mhm.
you're going to be able to move into the size that you want. And then you can go and buy it, a fuller wardrobe or whatever. But you still need to buy a few great pieces in between so that you look great. And if that you can't fit those anymore, or they can't be adjusted, you can pass them on to the next lady who needs to feel great about how she looks.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree.
So what's been the most surprising or rewarding moment since you launched your podcast?
Well, I hit 100 episodes earlier this year, so that
Oh,
was so much fun.
congratulations.
Yes, so 100 episodes, and I think just like what, like getting so many people that sign up for my program, so many DMs, hearing about the transformation that people get
Hmm.
from listening to me speak. Like when I'm recording a podcast, I'm sitting in this little room all by myself, and I don't know who's going to hear it. I don't know where it's going to take people, right?
Hmm.
But people are going to be listening to me in their shower. They're going to be listening to me in their car. They're going to be listening to me in airplanes. They're going to be listening to me while they're cutting grass or while they're on their walks. And I don't know that. So to hear that, I think that's the most rewarding thing, is whenever I get a DM or I get a message that says, like, I was listening to your podcast and this really helped me, or this really stood out to me. That always makes me feel so good and just makes me realize, like, I'm reaching people. This is really helping.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how do you curate your guests and the conversations that align with your mission?
Well, I try to lean into what I feel like, one, I personally needed early on in my journey. What were the conversations I needed to be hearing? And I wish I would have heard from somewhere, right? So I take myself back to early days of Laura being in her health journey. What was she missing? And who could I
Mhm.
get on this podcast that can bring something in? And then on that same note, I know what I know, and I'm really good at helping people heal their relationship with food, get rid of their cravings, get rid of their all or nothing mindset. I'm really good at those things. I don't need
Right.
somebody to come on my podcast and talk about those things, but to have
Right.
somebody come on and talk about the things that are not my area of expertise and
Mhm.
give the people that are listening some other nugget of knowledge. That's what I kind of look for, those two things.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, you could be on your own podcast and talk about all the things you know all day long. So it's always good to have another guest who is complimentary to what you're doing,
Totally.
for
Yes.
sure. So, what's a mantra or an affirmation that you live by?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. There's a sticky note that's on my wall that one of my coaches told to me right after I quit my teaching job and started doing this. And it says lead the proof. So
Mm,
what that means is, you have to take the action and then all of these things will happen for you. So I
mhm.
have to show up consistently. I have to keep making the podcast. I have to keep making the content.
Yeah.
I have to keep showing up for myself, and then all the clients will come and the lives will be transformed because of that. Same thing with our health journey, like, you have
Mhm.
to lead the proof. You have to show up for yourself, do the exercises, make the meals,
Sure.
eat the food. You have to show up in those ways, and through you doing that, the outcomes will come, but you
Mhm.
have to lead it there. You have to lead the proof. So I have that sticky note there. It's been there for so long, and I look at it every once in a while and just I think about my coach Kelsey, and I think about, the fact that it's not just going to happen. It's not going to happen. I have to actually show up and I have to lead it there.
Right. You have to do something,
Hmm.
or not do. Well, do, but and be
Yeah.
some- be what you're talking about, basically. So, what's one book or resource that every woman you think should read to step into her power?
Okay, let's see. Some of my favorite books are Atomic Habits.
Mm,
I'm sure that
love that. Love
everybody
that
who's
book.
listened to this podcast, they've probably heard of that book. If they haven't read it, then they've heard of it. I love
Mhm.
that book, and a lot of the way that I coach and teach is similar to the things that he talks about in that book. There's
Yeah.
also another book, and this may feel like left field totally, but there's another book. It's by Elisa Vitti, and in that book talks about, like, our monthly cycle. She talks about how to sync your cycle with the things that you're doing in your day-to-day life. And so
Mhm.
I really like that book, because it just kind of taught me a little bit more about what's going on in my body. Why do I feel certain ways at certain times of the month? And
Right.
it helped me really just, like, get in tune with who I am as a woman.
Mhm. And not taking away from your program, but what one piece of advice would you give to women who feel stuck or disconnected from their power?
Okay, let's see what's coming through for me right now. I'm gonna channel whatever God is leading me to say right now is what I'm gonna give to you, and that would be to really put yourself first. I know
Mm,
that
mhm.
it it's hard, right? We're women, so, and you might have men who also listen to your podcast, but as women, we have a lot going on in our day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And, you have your kids, you have your parents, you have your siblings, you have your coworkers. It's hard to take care of yourself,
Mhm.
but something that I like to think about a lot is, like, when you're getting on the airplane and they're doing the safety briefing or whatever, and they tell you, if something happens and we need to
Yeah.
put on our air mask, put yours on first and then help other people. And because you're no good. You're no good. You can't help your kid if you can't breathe. You can't help
Right.
your husband. You can't help your parents. You can't help anybody if you yourself are dead. And so you have to take care of yourself first. You are going to show up as a much better person in every facet of your life if you're taking care of yourself first. And so
Mhm.
show up in whatever way feels necessary for you to take care of yourself. And that's what came through to me. So I hope that that reached the right person.
Yeah. I always say you can't give from an empty cup.
It's true. You
Your
can't.
cup's got to be full first, and then you can pour from the overflow, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that early on because I know my mother and her generation, and even my grandmother's generation, was always so used to taking care of themselves first. And it just, to them, it seems selfish when, me being a Gen Xer, when I was like, no, I'm going off to Florida for 3 days because I need a reset. And it was like, no, but you have children and you're supposed to do this. And it's just like, yeah, they need me to go take a break too. So I can come back and my cup be full. And so we all don't die. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right. Yeah, it's like if you don't take care of yourself, you're gonna be snappy, you're gonna be irritable,
Exactly.
you're just not gonna be happy. And so you gotta
Nope.
take care of yourself. I read a quote the other day and it was like your kids would rather you be happy than you be whatever. I can't remember what the other thing was, but
Yeah.
your kids want you to be happy. You are gonna be, I think it was like your kids would rather have a happy mom than a mom who has a perfect clean house and has
Hmm.
all these things that are just right on the outside. They just want you to
Right.
be happy. They just want you to play with them and enjoy spending time with them. And you need to take care of yourself in order to be able to do that.
Yeah, and we're not talking about being neglectful, right? Like we're not saying leave your kids by themselves or anything crazy. We're saying make sure everybody's good, they're with the proper people. If they're younger kids, everything's good, and then you go off and do your thing and come
That's
back.
right.
Just saying. So where can your audience connect with you, or my audience connect with you, and learn more about what you do?
So I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Laura B Healthy. There's a dot around the B and it's just the letter B. So Laura.B.healthy. I'm on Instagram and TikTok there. And of course, the Isn't She Powerful podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And I have a website as well, behealthyhabits.com. Just the letter B again, behealthyhabits.com.
Okay, love that. And so what's next for your Isn't She Powerful? Is there anything exciting on the horizon? Any exciting guests that people would be excited to talk to?
I actually have a lot of guests coming onto the podcast soon, and you are one of them. So your episode will be coming out very soon on the show. I have a gut health specialist coming onto the show. I just had a
Nice.
body image conversation with another wonderful coach as well. I have quite a few that are coming out. I have a habits episode that's coming out with Elisa Vitti. She's the author of Higher Self Habits. And so it's going to be some really fun stuff. And I'm also going to be doing a live Isn't She Powerful as well, an event here. I live in
Ooh,
Jacksonville, Florida, so
love
I'm going to be
that.
doing an Isn't She Powerful live event as well later this summer. So if that's something that sounds interesting to any of your people, they should come over and follow me and hear more about that as we get closer.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for being here and sharing all of your wisdom, your warmth, and your authenticity with us today.
Thank you, Kara. This was a great conversation.
And for all of my guests listening, if you love this conversation, and I know you did, please be sure to check out Laura's podcast and follow her journey because I know she's just getting started. And remember, your style, your voice, your presence, it all matters. Keep showing up, keep standing tall, and never forget you're powerful too. Until next time, stay fabulous. Ciao.
Thank you for joining us today. Please subscribe so you won't miss our next conscious conversation with Kara and her fabulous guests. Follow Kara on social, on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Clubhouse, at Kara Allan, and connect with her on her website at karaallan.com. Also, leave a review if you enjoyed the conversation. Thanks again, and see you next time.